Good morning. Hey, lovers. Happy Thursday. So, somebody asked me to do a live about abandonment and how to heal abandonment wounds. And so this is what I'm doing today. So, I think it's really important to know that sometimes when we carry the abandonment wound, right, we meet other people who are very strong mirrors, okay, and they trigger us, they trigger our abandonment wound, okay, and we fail to see that they also have the abandonment wound. And I think the deeper they trigger us, right, the bigger the abandonment wound in them. Not the bigger the abandonment wound in them, but it matches our abandonment wound. Like, it's just as big, if that makes sense, right? And sometimes what we do unconsciously is that we do unto others what's been done unto us, right? And we need to become so aware of our own actions that we realize how we are treating other people. It's really fascinating, right? When you have a really powerful mirror standing in front of you and they're triggering your abandonment wound, your initial thing will be to go into judgment that they are doing this to you and they are doing that to you, right? Because that's how we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to avoid going in and looking at our own pain, our own discomfort, and to deflect it back onto the person who's triggering our abandonment wound, okay? So it's really important to be aware of that. And it's really hard to do because once that wound is open and your inner child comes through, your younger adult comes through, your shadow shows up, it can be really hard to tame that, because that's that part of us that wants love, wants acceptance, wants to be seen and heard and validated and chosen. That part of us wants to be chosen, right? So that shadow quality that comes up, you know, can go into this, fine then, stuff you then. I don't want you in my life then, right? You can really drop into that whatever age that is, right? But that attitude, that hurt, that wounded ego hurt attitude, right? So this is an invitation for you to do something different next time this happens. And it's really, at the moment, collectively, we are all going through the tunnels of our abandonment, okay? We're all processing our abandonment wounds at the moment. It's collectively, we ride these waves together, okay? And some are at the bottom of the wave and others are at the top of the wave, but eventually we're all experiencing the same thing. So you can have your parents physically abandon you as a child and create an abandonment wound. You can have parents who you lived in the same house with who abandoned you emotionally, okay? It doesn't really matter what type of abandonment it is. We've all been abandoned in some way, and we've all been taught how to abandon ourselves, okay? So just be mindful of that just because somebody else's parents didn't abandon them physically, it doesn't mean that they don't have abandonment wounds, okay? Really important to get that we are all each other's mirrors and all each other's teachers. You know, we can learn from each other if we can drop the judgment. So when this person, when someone triggers you, when someone triggers your abandonment wound, it's really important that you go in and you start to look at who is this younger part of you that needs your love right now. Forget about the other person. Yeah, I know it's really hard not to judge and not to criticize them, but try to forget the other person for the moment. Let's just talk about you. So when your wound is triggered, go within. How old am I right now? Wow, it's usually quite brutal. I think one of the harshest wounds to recover from is abandonment. Okay, so you go within and you put your hand on your heart and you're like, how old am I right now? Oh, wow, I'm one right now in this moment, okay? And you know what? You can be an adult and feel abandoned. Your wound can be created in your adult years where you feel abandoned by your parents or you feel abandoned by somebody, okay? So, hey Julie, hey Jennifer, Chris, hey Olivia, good morning. And whoever else is watching that I cannot see, hey Richard. So if you are jumping on, just drop me a hey, I'd love to know who's watching. So when you feel that abandonment, and it hurts, right? It's painful. It's painful to be abandoned, and it's painful to become aware that we abandon ourselves, right? So this is what I do, and this is what I teach my clients to do. If you're one, you put your hand on your heart, okay? And hey, Kate, hey, CJ. When you feel that abandonment, you put your hand on your heart, and you've acknowledged what age you are. You're 1, you're 5, you're 10, you're 40, whatever it is. And you soothe yourself. And you go, you know what? You didn't deserve that. It's okay. Not everyone's going to abandon us. I choose you. Yeah, one of the most powerful things you can say to your inner child, and your inner child is you from yesterday all the way down to the womb, right? All the way back to the womb. The most powerful thing you can say to that younger version of you who is listening, who is feeling hurt, is I choose you, and I will always choose you. And this is where you're making a pact with yourself that you are never going to abandon yourself again for anyone or anything or any situation. That no matter what happens, you're going to choose yourself. Right? And we get lost in relationships where we choose someone else and then we want them to choose us, and then we do this dance, right? Hey, Jamie. So it's really important that you continue to choose yourself. That is one of the most powerful things that I have used and that my clients use. I choose you, and I will always choose you. Now, for those of you who are there's a few people watching who have done inner child healing with me, I recommend you get a doll or a toy, a baby. A baby is always really powerful that you can hold, that represents your inner child when you're in your wound, okay? Now, what happens is when you're holding that baby or that doll or whatever it is that you choose to get for yourself to heal your inner child, the brain is not understanding that this is right now. Okay, when we're in our wound, essentially we are time traveling back to that younger version of us. That's why we feel like it takes over. Wow, my emotions took over and I couldn't control them, right? So we're essentially time traveling. So as you're time traveling back, your mind, if your mind was smarter than this, if your mind could differentiate between now and then, it would say to you, hey, Anthea, hey, that was 20 years ago. It's not now, right? But the mind doesn't work like that. The mind is unaware of time. So if you hold the baby as if you're holding your baby self back when you were 1 or 6 months old or whatever it is, or even when you're 20 years old, the baby's a representation of all of the younger versions of you. What you are doing is you're removing the memory of stress from your body, from your soul, from your timeline. You're bringing that ghost on your timeline, that younger version of you, bringing it into the present moment, and you're becoming more whole. Okay, so if we have left these wounded parts of us, these abandoned parts of us, if we've left them on our timeline in the past, essentially they're ghosts on our timeline. And when we get triggered by a powerful mirror, when our abandonment wound gets triggered, those ghosts, we travel back to that time. Those ghosts are haunting us. We slip into the vibration of that time, into that wound. That's why we can't see logic. That's why we're a mess and we're crying and we're like, how could they do this to me? Is another person abandoning me? Because that emotional state that you were in 40 years ago when you felt abandoned, it's unhealed, it's unresolved, it's still sitting, it's still this little boy or this little girl standing like a deer in headlights going, where's my mum? Where's my dad? How could they do this to me? I mustn't be worthy of love. And this is where we create our beliefs. I'm not special. I'm not worthy of love. Everyone's going to abandon me. There must be something wrong with me, right? So as you become aware, hey Ainsley, as you become aware of what your wound is or how old you are, you'll also become aware of what your beliefs are. Now, your beliefs are how you create your reality. right? Your beliefs, whatever you believe to be true, whatever evidence you've gathered over the last 40, 50, 60 years of experiences of abandonment, you will continue to create them in your adult life moving forward, because that is what you truly believe. So it's really important to break down those beliefs. And this is what we're working on in my new program, The Observers. The women, I'm so proud of all of the women in this program who are showing up every day and they are smashing their belief systems. It is one of the hardest things to do, right? And last night we were talking about abandonment again. We all have this abandonment wound in some shape or form, and we're all working hard to transform it. And you can transform it too if that's what you want to do. But you got to start soothing yourself through your own wounds, right? Self-soothing, not with drugs, not with alcohol, not with sex, not with shopping, not with avoidance, not with arguing. You have to sit there in your pain as you feel it and go, it's okay. Just as you would if a little kid came up to you. If a 5-year-old kid came up to you and said, I feel really abandoned, you wouldn't say, okay, let's get a bottle of whiskey and let's let's drown our sorrows. You'd be like, come here. It's okay. I love you. I choose you. I'll never abandon you. I'll always be here for you, right? That's what you would do to them. So you got to do the same thing that you would do to a real child, to your inner child, okay? And the other thing too is that, and I was telling the group last night, I've had every single day from the minute my kids were born, I've been saying to them, say please, say thank you. Say please, say thank you every single day for 8 years until they finally got it. And now I don't have to remind them to say please and thank you. So you have to, if I want to teach someone something, if they don't get it the first time, I'm not just going to give up on them. I'm going to keep teaching it to them, right? It's the same with your inner child. You might have to tell your inner child 1,000 times before it finally gets it that she or he deserves love. He or she deserves to be happy. He or she will not be abandoned. You may have to do it till the day you die, right? But if that means avoiding spiraling down into deep states of depression and anxiety and never believing you will be chosen, then so be it. Some of us will have to do things some of us have these really sensitive wounds. Yeah. Maybe we've had really negative mindsets. We're conditioned with really negative mindsets, conditioned with really negative beliefs, that all men are going to lead. But it's up to you now to change that, okay? It's up to you now to change that. So, and you can, but it's just going to take a little bit of consistency, right? A little bit of consistency. So I hope that this has helped. I really hope that this has helped. The other thing too is that as you heal your abandonment wound, you have to start choosing people, right? You have to start choosing people that are stable and solid, that are not going to abandon you. At some point in time, you have to move away from people who have severe abandonment wounds, who are going to continue to reflect that back to you, right? Because we can't heal anybody else. We can only heal ourselves. But at some point, you have to move away from those people who trigger that deep wound in you, right? So I'm all about healing your triggers, but I don't think it's healthy to stay in a place, whether it's family, friends, lovers, where they are acting in ways that trigger your abandonment wounds on such a deep level. I don't think that's healthy, and I don't think that will help you create healthy belief systems either, right? So you start to move towards people who are solid, who are healthy, who can show up for you, who won't abandon you, right? Who can communicate, whatever it is that triggers your abandonment wound, okay? So that's really important. And it's also really important to notice how you abandon others, because in some twisted way, we do unto others what's been done unto us, okay? And if you want to change that, then you have to really kind of get out of your head and drop into your heart and really, really observe yourself from that place of love. How would I see myself if I saw myself through the eyes of love? How would I see myself? without judgment, if I notice that I'm abandoning someone or I'm abandoning myself, how can I change that without judgment? How can I take one step forward in a positive way to improve my life, right? How can I choose myself? Often when we abandon others, it's because we abandon ourselves. So how can I choose myself so I can stop abandoning people, so I can stop abandoning others? How can I be kinder to myself so I can be kinder to others? If you're judging people, wow, how can I stop judging myself so I can stop judging others? So anyway, I've rambled enough. So good to see you all here today. Thank you for jumping on and watching. I hope that this live has helped you in some way. If you want to talk more about abandonment, please reach out. And yeah, have a beautiful day.